Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our Apex community, depending where you are. My name is Salim Hilayel, and I would like to welcome you all to a new session in our Business Innovations webcast series. In today's session, I would like to welcome Claudia and Sayee from Syneos Health, who will show us how they have been empowered by Oracle Apex to manage all of the critical processes across their projects, while saving $750,000 USD in 5 years. Syneos Health accelerated new solution adoption and built a solution and a system used worldwide by thousands of users while cutting costs and time dramatically, as we're going to see shortly. I would like to also remind you, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section, and we will try our best to address them during the session. Now, I would love to hand it over to Ashish Mohindru, the Vice President, Product Management for Oracle Apex, to start the event. Over to you, Ashish.
Thanks, Salim, and welcome to everybody from around the world. Whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you. And we're really excited to have Syneos Health with Sayee and Claudia join us today. My name is Ashish Mohindru. I'm the Vice President of Product Management and Strategy for Oracle's Apex, world's leading low-code application platform. And today, before we get to Syneos Health, I just want to take a few minutes for those of you who don't know much about Apex to give you a quick overview of what Apex is all about and what it can really help or do for you. So for those of you who don't know Apex, Apex is the world's most popular enterprise low-code application platform. It enables you to build scalable and secure enterprise apps with world-class features 20x faster and with 100x less code. Apex also delivers the most productive way to develop and deploy mobile, web, and desktop apps everywhere, whether it's on the cloud or on premises. Now, when we say it's the world's most popular, this is not just us making the claim. There was a survey done by IDC, that's a leading analyst firm, and they actually surveyed over 1,000+ customers worldwide, asking them what's their preferred vendor for low-code or no-code platforms. And as you can see, Oracle was chosen as the #1 platform of choice, ahead of any other vendor in the market, whether it's Microsoft Power Apps, Salesforce, or a number of pure-play vendors that specialize in low-code platforms. Not only do our customers really choose us to be the most popular, but actually when they use us, they also rate us as the most liked platform out of all other vendors in the market. So this is a validation by Gartner Peer Insights, who goes out and talks to different customers, and they rate their experience with different vendors. As you can see, Oracle was rated the highest and got the Customer's Choice Award for 2022, ahead of, again, any other vendor in this particular market. The result is Oracle Apex has been seeing incredible growth. We have over 2 million apps that have been created with Apex worldwide. We believe the number is even higher than that. These are numbers that we can track. We see about 3,000 to 5,000 net new applications for low code created on Apex every single day. And we have a very vibrant and large and growing community of developers that are building on Apex. So we have about 700,000 plus Apex developers worldwide. So if you're looking to build low-code applications with Apex, rest assured there's a big community to support you that you can engage with to understand the technology, get help, and really be able to participate in growing this overall experience. Now, Apex also is available in every data center or cloud data center where we have Oracle Cloud around the world. So Oracle operates in 144 countries. We have about 55 cloud global regions today, and these regions are growing. And in every one of these regions, whether it's commercial or public sector, Apex is available to you. And as we add new regions in the cloud, Apex will be available in those regions as well. In addition to this, Oracle also offers what we call dedicated region. So the dedicated region is Oracle Cloud installed within your data center. And if you prefer to go that route, the private cloud route, Apex will be available to you there as well. Now, Apex has thousands and thousands of customers today that are building very innovative low-code applications across all industries. As you can see, we have over 700,000 developers building 3,000 plus apps on a daily basis These customers range from healthcare industry to financial services, to public sector, to telecommunications and media. Just name any industry and you'll see customers building innovative apps on Apex using low-code platform. In particular, we see a big traction with healthcare companies. As you can see from the slide, this is just a sample list of companies in the space that are actually doing very innovative stuff with Apex. Companies like AstraZeneca that built a patient empowerment platform using Apex. Syneos Health, you're going to hear later in just a minute about their use of Apex for clinical trial oversight platforms and other use cases. Hartford Healthcare, a leading healthcare provider in Connecticut and that East Coast region, they basically use Apex for getting better insights on patient and so on. So as you can see, there's a broad use cases of for healthcare for low code and Apex. And with that, let's turn over to Syneos Health and learn about their use of innovative technologies and what they are doing with low code and in particular Apex. So with that, I'd like to welcome Claudia and Sayee. Claudia, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ashish. I'm now going to, if you can give me just 1 second, I need to share my slides. Are you able to see the slide deck?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So thank you everybody for joining. Claudia Charlier, Senior Director here in IT Clinical Strategy. So I will start just by talking for a minute or so about who we are. So Syneos Health is a fully integrated biopharmaceutical solutions organization. We strategically blend clinical development, medical affairs, and commercial capabilities to address modern market realities. Syneos Health brings together more than 29,000 people across more than 110 countries with a deep understanding of patient and physician behaviors and market dynamics. The company has a product development mindset and allows the use of innovative technologies and advanced business practices to speed our customer delivery of important therapies to patients. You can read more about us on our website on syneoshealth.com, and you can also subscribe to our podcast if you are interested in learning more about this industry in general and about our company. Okay, so why Project Delivery Center? So Project Delivery Center is the specific application that we are going to talk about today, and is what Syneos Health ended up building on Oracle Apex. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what led us to coming up with the need to build a custom solution for our clinical project oversight. So with clinical trials becoming more global, effective oversight is critical to ensuring successful delivery of a trial. Off-the-shelf systems available for clinical trial conduct tend to focus on specific areas of clinical trials, such as startup, feasibility, data management, or safety. While these tools are sufficient to manage targeted aspects of the clinical trial, a gap was obvious when it came to the availability of a tool that can provide the level of insight needed for a project manager in charge of a clinical trial. So pretty much we looked in the market. There was none of the project management tools available out there really met our need. The ideal tool needed to connect and combine data from various functional areas in order to gain insights into the status of deliverables, identify risks and issues, and make informed decisions that would lead to consistent delivery, efficiency, and better experience for both the employees and the sponsor. Such a tool was not available in the market due to the fact that each CRO's technical landscape varies greatly. So the project managers were faced with a current situation where they had to use a lot of different spreadsheets. They had to go and use 20 plus, sometimes even more systems to piece together the oversight of a clinical trial. that resulted in a lot of time lost spending these tasks or re-entering data from one system into another. So there was definitely a need to come up with a solution that would make their lives easier and improve the oversight. And this is how Project Delivery Center came to be. So we first started thinking about this tool and discussing design for it and conceptualizing it about 15, 16 months ago. This tool needed to increase efficiency, simplify employee experience, improve data quality, eliminate the trackers, and just overall enable consistent delivery. Historically, study teams have lacked access to a central location to view, track, manage, and drive study delivery. In the absence of a true project management systems, teams were faced with the challenge of having to face across multiple applications. The lack of functionality, integration, and reporting contributed to project inefficiencies and lack of visibility into risks and issues. And this is exactly what the Project Delivery Center does. It provides a central location for the project team to manage assigned projects. The application enables accelerated project delivery, cross-functional platform collaboration, data-driven decision-making, and overall end-to-end project management. We were able to eliminate, to date, 20 Excel trackers. We are currently in the process of eliminating 8 applications. So with a release that we have coming up recently, we will eliminate 8 applications. And in general, the users' adoption is excellent. In the upper right-hand side of the slide are just some quotes from the users that came after the first release went live. We wanted to give them an application that they could just start using without the need of any training, just go in, and something that's very intuitive to ensure rapid adoption. And we believe we achieved that. Sayee, next to you for slide.
Thank you, Claudia. Hi, my name is Sayee Natarajan. I head up RxDataScience. We were acquired by Syneos about 18 months back. So obvious question is why Apex? Why build this tool in Apex? And I want to say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You just saw Claudia refer to all the accolades the users gave. Simple, intuitive, easy to use, fast. That's really what Apex delivers, right? So when we were brought in, Syneos was looking for an agile development process and was also looking closely at several low-code platforms. With us coming on board, we have experience building many Apex systems over the years. Since we started as a company in 2016, we have been using Apex internally for many solutions. So we had the capability. And right before we started this development project, we had rolled out a completely different system for cohort building. And we did that in 3 months and rolled out to 600 users. And that gave the organization confidence. Claudia had already worked with the team and had a UI design, and that was ready to go. And we quickly determined that we know how to take that UI design and implement that in Apex. And we felt like compared to all the other platforms that were being evaluated, this was less expensive, more scalable, and customizable to get the exact UI user experience that we targeted. And in fact, as you will see in the demo, not only was it good for where we envisioned at that point in time, it has continued to scale. You know, some of the exciting demos Claudia will show are things like chatbots, which we didn't even anticipate coming when we started this project. The other critical piece, integration into other enterprise systems. And that has also worked really well on the cloud platform, along with products such as Oracle Sova integration. Back to you, Claudia.
Thank you, Sayee.
I'm sorry, I have a question for Sayee, I think, because related to that slide. Somebody's asking you, Sayee, why did you not go for Angular, React, Knockout, or other platforms, even from Oracle, like Visual Builder, Cloud Services, and so on. So why Apex again? Can you please highlight that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my experience, the code heavy platforms, so when you talk about React, Angular, and things like that, without building a framework, those tend to be code heavy. And they are Apex development, in our experience, is typically at least twice as fast, more on the average 4 times as fast, for us to get the same amount of work done compared to those platforms. We didn't think Oracle Visual Builder had enough extensibility and customization the way we would prefer that we have had from Apex. And in all fairness, the folks that started RxDataScience, our team, we've been using Apex since 2004, 2005. So one could say we are very, very knowledgeable about Apex, about the ins and outs. So we know where, when you run into issues, how to get over them. Go ahead, Claudia.
Nice. Actually, there is another question also related to, I think, your slide, Claudia. What kind of enterprise solutions were you able to integrate with Apex? Like other web applications or non-web applications? Because you mentioned it's integrated with 18 or 14 other systems.
Yes, so currently it integrates with 14 other systems,
14,
and
yeah.
we have plans to integrate it with a lot more. So the types of systems we're integrating with currently are Salesforce, Oracle, Oracle EBS. There's a COTS product called Global Resource Management Tool, which is used to track resource assignments. We're also, of course, pushing the data into our own data lake to surface it into a variety of reports and dashboards, and of course, integration with Active Directory and pulling in some data from some of our HR systems. And then in addition to that, some of the other integrations that we have are with specific with systems that are more tailored to conducting clinical research studies. So like a CTMS system or a system used for site feasibility. So it's all kinds of different systems. Some are COTS applications, some are custom developed ones.
Perfect, thank you.
And that integration piece is actually something very, very important in order for us to make sure we streamline and we make the experience a lot more efficient for our oversight teams. It's a very important component that continues to have a lot of focus, and I believe it will continue growing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So this next slide here, if I personally was working for a software company before I joined this industry, the CRO industry, and I did not know what CFR 21 Part 11 was, and I was surprised to see the amount of extra overhead that is involved in delivering a system that is CFR 21 Part 11. And what 21 CFR Part 11 is, it's a section of the Code of Federal Regulation that applies to the Food and Drug Administration. Pretty much all the systems that manage clinical trials have to be CFR 21 Part 11 compliant. And what this regulation does is it outlines the requirements for electronic records and electronic signatures to be trustworthy, reliable, and equivalent to paper records and handwritten signatures. It also guides the drug makers on how to create, manage, and maintain electronic records and signatures for compliance with FDA regulations. It helps improve data integrity and efficiency in digital application. Implementing a CFR 21 Part 11 compliant system usually requires demonstrable control over the deployment process and controlled environments via formal IQOQ. It requires thorough design requirements and testing documentation and screenshots to be taken at every step. So it's quite a lot of work that in today's world with software development, it tends to come as a surprise to people that are used to working in an agile manner, and it's something that we have to get done. So it usually involves very long testing cycles, 2 to 4 weeks, and they require separate documentation for quality engineers and UAT testing. Now, how does Apex impact this process side? Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your team had to do to deliver the first release, which was a huge effort and it was very successful? So.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. So obviously, big concern when you bring in an agile development methodology and a low-code platform, can you really maintain this compliance? So fortunately, we had people who have done this before. And so as Claudia indicated, there's 3 steps to the process. There is the IQ, which is installation qualification, OQ, operational qualification, and PQ, which is performance qualification. IQ is a piece of cake when it comes to Apex and cloud, right? IQ is proving that your software installation went through accurately, right? So you guys, many of you probably know what it takes to install something in Oracle. Hosting is taken care of by the cloud. So we chose Oracle Cloud completely. Everything is maintained by there. So our installation documentation is thin for the database layer. The Apex application itself is also fairly easy to install. The number of steps is minimal. And if you're bringing the database and objects together with that, that part is very simple to maintain, document, and test as well. The other 2, OQ and PQ, is really about the complexity of the application. So you're just testing that the functional specs of the system have been met by the system and the user requirements of the system have been met. And that is very similar regardless of what platform you do, because you still have to take the screenshots, prove that whatever you said you were going to do was done. The other interesting caveat Claudia brought up, the initial installation, we also had to document the migration process, which again, cloud made really simple. And we were able to stand up some simple Apex screens that proved that what came in is what came out, right? So we were under the gun in a 3-month window to retire another platform that used to do some level of project tracking and migrate all the data and prove that everything was accurate. So it was a very good help for the team in terms of helping what is really a necessary but really resource-intensive process. Back to you, Claudia.
Thank you, Sayee. Okay, so what does the Project Delivery Center do? Kind of what are his components? And in the right-hand side here, you can see a picture of the current integrations that we have developed. Project Delivery Center at one point used to be called Study Hub, but so it's really the hub. It's the central location where you manage your study for your project, right? So like I said, we have integrations with Salesforce, Enterprise, our Enterprise CRM system, Oracle EBS, GRM, and so on. And the need for more and more integrations as the application is progressing is growing. One thing that was very interesting is the use case that we started building the application for started with just having the project managers as the persona of the application. But over time, we're seeing that use case expanding more and more as the word is getting out in the company about the product, how easy to use, and how integrated it is with all these other systems. So now we're getting more and more groups from the company wanting to use it for their specific oversight purposes. So the product is in a very healthy growth spurt right now. We have more work than we can handle, which is always great news to have. Users are very enthusiastic about using it and enjoy very much the UI UX experience. What you see here on the left-hand side are what I would call the modules. And the percentages mean roughly how far along are we with completing development of that specific module. So like, for example, if you look at study profile, this has just some high-level information. It's kind of what's the makeup of the study, what makes up, what are the attributes of the study or the project that we are delivering. So far, we're about 75%. Then we manage milestones. So the milestone piece is very interesting because when you talk to project managers, it's not just a milestone is a milestone. In the clinical world, a lot of your milestone dates are actually coming from some of the functional systems, the areas for specific functions. So one thing that we did is we integrated these milestones to get the data automatically flowing in. So now the project manager's life is a lot easier. Before they had to go into all these different systems, look up the dates. Now it's all coming into one place for them. Managing risks, issues, actions, and decisions. Again, because this is the clinical world, it has a specific extra spin on it. It's very important to track any changes done in an audit trail and be able to monitor frequencies at which these are reviewed. Also, outputs out of this system are extremely important, and it's another area that Oracle Apex was able to easily provide us the ability to download lists from the system in a variety of formats. So when I get to the demo, I will show you how some of these modules have evolved and what the different things are that we were able to accomplish in the product. Okay. So moving into the demo now then.
Yeah, we're excited.
All right. So what you see here is our application, Project Delivery Center, or PDC as we call it. And when I log in, like we said, the primary persona is a project lead. Now, in this industry, it's very important to protect. So as a company, we probably have at any given point in time around 700 to 800 different projects that we manage for our clients. We also call our clients sponsors. One thing that's extremely important is these sponsors only want people that are assigned to their project to be able to view data about that project. So one thing that we needed to be able to do with this application is ensure that only people assigned to a specific project are able to view the project. So as a result, we integrated with our resourcing system where people are assigned to projects and automatically allow people to only see the project that they're supposed to see. So right now, I'm assigned to this project 7042067. The sponsor is a made-up name. It's Taco Bell, of course. So when I go in, as a user, the first thing I want to ask myself is, what is the overview of the project? So again, very focused on usability. Here's our study overview. You see information here that's read-only. That's all the data that's coming from all the different systems. So we're giving them a central place to go and manage their project, but we're making it easier by pulling all the information that they need access to from all these other different systems in the company. Like I said, today we have integrations with 14 different systems. So the only thing the project managers have to do here is maybe update a few fields that the data does not exist in other systems, but by putting it in here, you're now completing the profile of your specific project. Then the next thing that we did is the milestones. So management of milestones is very important because not only do we need to ensure are updated in a timely manner, that they're accurate, but also what these milestones are needs to be consistent from project to project. So one thing we did is we used the milestone template concept that allowed us to ensure that all the projects have a consistent list of milestones that is applied. This also allowed us to do milestone automations, which was a big release that saved users a lot of time. And this is automatically filling in the milestone dates as the dates are updated in some of these systems that are for specific functional areas. So on this page, to make it, again, easy for the user, we have very simple add buttons, standard Oracle functionality, right? The ability to download a report, the ability to customize the views. All these were just out-of-the-box features that are excellent because users ask for them over and over again. So we did not have to, and Sayee, I may misspeak, but I think because it is an out-of-the-box, we were able to just enable it and consistently have it available everywhere. So this is something that is very well liked by the users. And of course, same thing with filtering on columns and things like that. We also were able to put in alerts that alert users to data quality flags. So again, we're alerting them in a timely manner that specific data needs to be updated. And it's something that they enjoy a lot because they're able to work with it easily. This is what updating a milestone looks like. So very simple. You click on the link, it opens it up, and then you have your save and close buttons, etc. We have alerts if information is incorrect. So in this specific example, it's telling us we have a validation put in, so it's telling us that there's an issue, and it's asking for correction. Message is very easy to understand what the issue is, so the user can correct it. Okay. The other feature that we implemented is the ability to drag and drop, which I was very happy to see that we were able to do, because this again makes the user experience very easy and intuitive. I'm trying to go to risks, actions, and issues. Pretty much the team was able to, whatever features we were asking, they were able to find a way to deliver them. So here's another example. Our users want to see a lot of information at all times. So for situations where we have too much information in a specific field, we asked that this hover over tooltip would present the full information. And again, this is something that we standardized across, and we were able to do it. So we saw milestones, we saw risks and issues, so pretty much standard tracking of risks and issues. Within a specific record, at times we need to have some children records. So for this one, when you track an issue, you also need the ability to add one or more action plans to it. So you can easily go in and put in the information, and then sometimes those very easy. So now you have these children record associated with the main record. And here again, we're doing the lookup to a related list of milestones associated with this project. Another type of UI that we implemented is the KPIs one. And what the KPIs does is, here we have key performance indicators that are being calculated in our data lake, and the KPI status, the red, amber, or green, is pushed into the application and surfaced here. So we were able to put a page together that allows our the person doing the project oversight, usually the project manager, to see what the status of different KPIs is. And then here you get to see editing multiple records at the same time, with the ability to turn certain things on or off as needed, and put in text information and then save it. One module that is quite new that we introduced is this concept of reviews and assessments. And you can think of it in terms of completing a questionnaire. So one thing that's important, because conducting a clinical trial, you have so many different areas that need oversight. The project manager usually has several what we call functional leads that oversee each specific area. So what the need is there was a need to harmonize the way these reviews and oversights are being done. And we did that via these reviews and assessments, where once a month, each specific functional lead for their function completes an assessment for their function. The assessment consists of answering certain questions, and then the project manager once a month will see a compilation or a roll-up of all of those assessments and determine what the health of their project is. So this project reviews and assessments module is addressing that specific area. So if I go and open one here, you can see where this specific assessment was completed. The project manager was answering a specific set of questions. And then based on the answers for each question, the health of the project is determined. So I think that does anybody have questions where I could go into a specific area or anything that I can show?
I have a question, actually. There is something related. Probably Sayee can answer this.
Okay.
Does the reports based on IR component, interactive report component? Because it looks like based on that, right?
Yeah. So most of the reporting is based off of interactive reporting. So we do like that quite a bit. Users love it quite a bit, and from a development perspective as well, it makes our life easier. So we do employ interactive reporting quite a bit.
Oh, beautiful. So we got some positive feedback, like nice application, and like to develop a simple UI application with maybe JavaScript, you need at least different skill set, like UI developers, API developers, backend developers, PL SQL developer. So many moving parts, while in Apex, it's great because you have everything at one place. So yeah, that's right. There is actually a question also regarding the skill set and experience that someone needs to be an Apex developer. For example, how much time did it take to build this application with Apex? That's a good question.
So this app, we had 4 developers working about 3 months for the V1 of the application. What you are seeing is the same 4 development team over a year of development, right? But that said, remember, there are PMs, there are BAs, there are testers, and there's that whole validation, that's a separate team. So there are more enterprise C people, and integration, we have a SOA team that takes care of integration. So if I'm looking at who is working on the screens and the tables behind the screens, that's a core group of 4, which I think is very, very impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there are some data that you are getting from REST services, right? So that's how you do the integrations.
Correct.
Nice. Okay, so there are so many questions coming. So let me take a couple and then we can move on with the demo. So who do handle the drag and drop functionality? There was drag and drop here. So so who usually will do that? What does it do once you resize it or you reorder?
So what it does is it allows you, so in this specific case, I'm looking at milestones. So when you want to see milestones in a specific order, in the sequential order that it makes sense to see them in, that's when the drag and drop functionality would be used. It just gives users more control over the order in which they see the milestones, because otherwise we would have, without this functionality, we would have had to sort them by a name or by a date, which is not necessarily the order that the user wants to see it in. So it just gives them better control over seeing this data.
Great. Let's take one final question and then we'll move with the demo. Somebody says, I saw select list and text area items. Are you using Apex_item API?
For the forms, I do not believe we needed to use
it was
in
KPI. I think it was in KPI screen.
Oh, with the KPIs? Okay, let me see. So what was the question? Are you talking about the color?
It's a technical question. I think when you're editing one of the things, yes, if it appeared in a table, yes, we are definitely using Apex item. Yeah. I don't think that was a grid. I don't think in that specific case we use the IR grid, but we do use IR grid in other places. So usually Claudia is very good at simplifying the interface for the user and making it a little bit complex on the back end with all the business rules, which is how a system should be. So out of the box components don't necessarily satisfy. So these things are deceptively simple looking. There's a lot of rules behind it to make sure this happens. We got like 1,000 clinical trials with like 20,000 people working on it. Okay. So, this looks really simple, but this is like probably 3 billion in revenue somewhere there, and 1,000 projects with 20,000 people being coordinated using the system. So yeah,
it's a great system. All right, so let's move on with the demo, and then we'll take more questions after some time. Cool.
Okay, so it's just in general, the other thing that we have done, and I know it is not necessarily showcased as part of this, but we also built what we call a rules engine, and we also built it in Oracle Apex. And what this rules engine is doing, it's a single place where we manage specific business rules, and it's very tightly coupled with the project delivery center. And a lot of the information that is going on here, like the rules for milestone dates automation, come from the rules engine. Which KPIs apply to a study depending on what services are contracted or what specific area the study is conducted in. Again, it's coming from the integration with the rules engine. So it also allowed us to better think through things end to end and make sure that, again, the project manager's life is simple, the developer's life not as much, but we have very smart team working on it. So one of the areas where we are using this rules engine is in clinical trials. It's very important to show what systems, what applications are being used for a study, because when we get audited, our auditors want to know where our data exists for this study, so then they can also go and ensure that all of these systems have the proper documentation and controls in place and can reconstruct the life of a clinical trial. So what we have done is, using this rules engine, we were able to pre-configure what systems to apply to a study based on these parameters, and then later on it will drive the system setup. So that's another thing that's coming in the future. Sayee, should I move over to the protocol AI? Do you want to give
yes, go for it. This is so. Yeah, so let me go set this up. So this is experimental, guys. So the interface still has a lot of evolving pieces. So bear that in mind. This is our integration of GPT, chat GPT functionality into our internal systems, all using Apex. So we are calling this our protocol genius product, and its intention is to be able to search through a protocol, a clinical trial protocol, and be able to answer very specific question about the protocol. A typical clinical trial protocol document is a few hundred pages, right? 100 to 250 pages. And this interface is allowing us to basically just ask a simple question, and it will give an answer. And you can see some examples of questions and answers that have been given from before. In the interest of time, you can see, you can ask very specific question. What was the statistical method used in this trial? What is the sample size? How was it determined? And what's the document approval process? So we are very, very upbeat on it. And one of our big integration items into PDC is to bring this chatbot functionality into it. So anybody working on the project can ask a question, So think of a user who is working on 3 or 4 projects. You come in and go, hey, can you tell me what's the inclusion criteria on this again? And you just ask the question and it's going to give you the answer. It's working really, really great.
Right. Thank you. So this is where I can pick a specific protocol, and then I'm asking what is the inclusion criteria, and then it's searching the protocol document and it's providing me with the answer. So this is huge because it saves a lot of time. It immediately provides the answer to the question, so people don't have to actually scan a document and look for this. And the protocol document is extremely important for a study, and a lot of the people working on the study need to reference it constantly. So I think this concludes what we were planning for the demo. Should we return to the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. But before that, if you don't mind, there are questions related again to the demo. So let's just get over them, and then we go back to the presentation. So somebody's asking, how many users use the application, and how does Oracle Apex handle performance issues?
So right now we have roughly 5,000 people using the application, and more and more people are actually interested in using it. We have not seen performance, and I'm talking from the end user standpoint, I have not seen performance issues so far, but maybe Sayee can, because scalability and performance are very important to us in addition to securing the data, right? So Sayee, maybe you can address that.
Yeah, we ran into a couple of expected performance issues when the stuff went live because of certain components not being configured right. But once you went through and tuned those things out, it's been rock solid. I want to say it's either 8 or 12 core, I think is what the system is running on. And we have enough capacity that we are running more Apex applications on this. I think the protocol Genius is running on the same system as the Study Hub and things like that. So it has some room to handle more stuff. The data volume isn't huge in these modern terms. I mean, it's big, but it's not like humongous, right? So it's we're not running into any performance issues. I don't expect to run into any issues.
Yeah, so you expect it to be scalable, and it can cater for bigger number of users if you increase the cores or you tune your SQL queries in case you have an issue with the queries, right?
We do monitor regularly. We have an Apex performance monitoring application. So just one of my pet things is every 2-3 months, we just go look at any new queries that have popped up in v$SQL that's bad, and we tune them. We do it without telling anybody anyway, right? It just gets integrated into that. I do expect the system to be capable of going to 20,000 users. That's our max number, right? Maybe we need to add 3-4 more cores, and and it'll be harder to patch the system because then it'll be 24/7 usage, right? But those will be good problems for the organization to have.
Exactly. So somebody's asking, have you used any approval component as part of this application? So
no, the approval components came later. We have not yet used any approval components as part of this application. No.
Great. Somebody also is interested in that navigation menu that you have in this application. So did you design it in the global page 0, in order to appear for every page, or?
Yes, that is actually page 0 with conditions on which page. That's the approach we took.
Nice.
I believe we took that for the top nav bar as well. So even though it doesn't appear on every page, I think the approach we took is to put it on the global page.
Yeah. So just to clarify, this is not currently on ATP. I think is on OCI, but not yet on it.
It's not yet on ATP. Yeah. What happened was the ATP was an older version of Apex, and we had already started development on a newer version of Apex. So we waited. Now ATP has caught up, but because it's a validated system, we're going to take a little bit of time to move it into ATP.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to clarify for the audience, ATP is Autonomous Transactional Processing workload on our cloud. It's one of the workloads for Autonomous Database that it can patch itself, update itself, tune itself. So but I think there are plans that you will move in the future, I guess, to ATP, right?
I believe we want to move this quarter. I'm right. I think that's the plan.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so maybe we can take one more question. There are so many questions. So let's say, how do you guys deploy your application?
So this is a validated application. So even though we are capable of doing CI/CD and scripted integration, we cannot do that. So we need to document the entire process. So which means we have to use just manual deployment methods, right? So we need to run through the deployment on the QA instance, document the whole process, send it to our QA people to sign off that we did it right. And then you run it through the production, take screenshots, and run through the documentation again. So it is, we just have to follow whatever CFR 21 Part 11 says, right? So that regime is not for a CI/CD at this point in time. And I don't think this app needs CI/CD continuous changes. It doesn't make sense. We would rather be methodical.
Great. So somebody is asking, any demo integrations with other systems for this application? I think this has been answered in the study profile, Claudia, right? So that page, all these information that you mentioned or you put on that page is actually coming from 14 other systems, right? But the other part of the question we might need to clarify is also, how is the authentication done for this application? How do you authenticate your user?
Yeah, this is AD authentication standard Active Directory integration that you see everywhere. Like, it's there in many open source, many sites document. It's the same process, the standard AD authentication with Office 365. Yeah.
There is a question I don't understand. I'm not sure if you guys know. So how does this application assess TMF compliance? Can this application be used as a TMF storage or be connected to CTMS?
Yeah, it is very good. So somebody from the industry is asking the question. It is on our plans to do. Yes, go ahead, Claudia.
So right now we are integrated with our CTMS system, where we're getting some of the dates for our milestones in. As far as if you're asking if this can be qualified as a TMF system, right now we do not have it qualified as a TMF, but we do have some conversations going on about whether we should do it, because we have a lot of requirements that say, do this in the application, then output it and store it in TMF. So either we will have to do a lot of pushes to TMF, or we have to qualify this as a secondary TMF. So I'm currently in the midst of trying to figure out which one is the best way to handle it.
Yeah, for those who are not in the industry, TMF is where our industry stores documents, regulated documents like the protocol and things like that. The approved copy is supposed to be saved within a TMF system. It makes sense to have integration between this and that. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so let's go on then with the presentation. I think we have some few minutes left.
Yes, let me go back here. So lessons learned. What have you learned from my standpoint? Even though we were not able to be truly agile when it comes to just, deployment processes and testing, we did employ an agile methodology in working in sprints, showing progress frequently, getting feedback from business frequently, and incorporating feedback as we could. That worked really well. We ended up with a project that from release 1 was, the application was very well adopted. Of course, agile methodology prioritized the feedback received, make sure that distinguish between must-haves and nice to have, and give users early access to sandboxes to give them the opportunity to use the system and get their, opinion. Because we had to deploy this to such a large number of users, it was crucial that we partner with our executive sponsors and made sure that we have clear ownership and direction and strategy on the change management, including early communication training, hypercare support, and not just from an IT perspective, but from a business perspective. So we have an actual business support team that is our first line of defense. When people ask questions, they kind of triage to see, is the question process related or is it application related? That will stay in place, and it's really something that helps tremendously with user adoption. And it's also a good way for us to receive feedback from users as they work on the application. Visibility into short-term and long-term strategy for the product, extremely useful. Obviously it is subject to change, but just giving our executive stakeholders the ability to see that and have frequent meetings to re-review priorities, it's also very good. The fact that we do this development in-house, it's our product, of course, gives us a lot of flexibility to pivot when needed based on what is a priority at that specific point in time. Sayee, what about from a technical standpoint, what were some of the lessons learned?
So some of the key lessons learned from our perspective is just, working through the CFR 21 guidelines early enough so we are able to manage the installation scripts properly, right? Just keeping track of the object changes especially, and making that through. And another thing, this I say in all the projects, but you still be missed, is you try your level best to do the development in as much realistic volume as you can, right? Because otherwise you finish your development performance, everything is great. You put the realistic volume in QA or prod, now all of a sudden things slow down. Now you have to tune under pressure, right? Those were two key lessons learned out of this project specifically.
Thank you. And then I think the next slide is yours, Sayee.
Okay. Yeah. So we saw how much Apex has helped us so far. So where are we going with Apex? So our leadership has embarked this year an intelligent enterprise program. Its goal is to inject intelligence, algorithm-driven decision-making into the enterprise is a requirement, right? So we are creating these many Apex applications that are essentially front ends to data science algorithms. We use a lot of XGBoost, Monte Carlo simulations and things like that. But the output of these algorithms are being surfaced in the Apex application. And this is a really interesting program from my perspective as well as the whole team. Next, you saw a little brief demo from Claudia about GPT enabling applications. So we have, I think, 4 different use cases where we have introduced GPT. Protocol Genius is just one of them. We have many others. And all of these are running on Oracle Cloud, right? So cloud, the autonomous database are dramatically simplifying our infrastructure needs. With that, I think we can move on to the QA.
Yeah, I love the interaction today. So many questions. So let's take only a few. Somebody's asking, any document management as part of the solution? Did you use the Oracle Storage, Document Store, or third party, or maybe just Blob and DB?
We do have Blob in DB right now. We do intend to use Oracle Object Store as well, right? So we do have a combination of those things, yes.
Perfect. How do this system differ from clinicaltrial.gov site, as it is mandatory to upload study data with every phase?
So yeah, so clinicaltrial.gov comes at the end. So once the study is complete, most of this work is when the study is ongoing, when very little information you will find on clinicaltrial.gov.
Perfect. So, and I think you already mentioned this, like probably in the future, you might be want to replace the Apex underscore item with maybe IG, interactive grid. Right.
Yeah, we might end up doing that. So we could do that direction. And there's like many different ways you can always use the Ajax. I saw that question as well. You know, what if it gets deprecated? I'm sure the Apex team will give a solution. But even if not, one of the basic things is you can put a text box, hide the text box, and just save it through Ajax. So there is really, nothing that you can do in a React or other place that you can do with the Apex.
That's right. And it's legacy, so it's not deprecated. Okay, so there is a cool question. So apart from all this positive that you guys have been talking about, what is the biggest concern or difficulty in adopting Oracle Apex into your organization?
Want me to take that, Claudia?
Yes, because from a business standpoint, our biggest problem is we cannot deliver things fast enough.
Yeah, so it is the typical thing that any large enterprise of this scale goes through, right? So integration. So no one knows how to integrate Apex to X. So now you have to go teach people, right? Next, we were adopting Oracle Cloud at the same time we were adopting Apex. So there is more changes, right? And there's a lot of friction that comes in. So those are all, difficulties. I have to admit that, right? So you stand up Protocol Genius, you go from a public endpoint to a private endpoint. You have something else on the Azure where you run the algorithm. A doesn't talk to B. Now you have to find an Oracle engineer, you have to find an Azure engineer, you need to find the network engineer, get them all on the call and figure out what is wrong, right? And then somebody says some cert is wrong or some frame width is wrong and stuff like that, and you want to rip your hair, right? Why do I need to deal with it? But that is the reality of working in the enterprise, right? With you bring something new in. But what is amazing with Apex is this. Once you get the engine moving, this is what I call, right? Once the engine is moving, your developers are developing, they're cranking out, you will see the functionality just keep popping out. Every Apex application I have deployed, what I notice is this. There's a big backlog always there, and you're just keeping on digging through it, And once you reach it, you will have a certain cadence, but you will see releases come and keep on coming, not unlike Apex itself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sayee, and thank you, Claudia, for this. So I think we're already at the top of the hour. Maybe I'll hand it over to you, Ashish, to conclude and close the session.
Sure, yeah. Can I do a quick screen share?
Yep.
Sure.
So thank you, everybody. And thank you to Claudia and Sayee. That was really fantastic to really see your application live that you've built using Apex. I'm really glad to see that that's being used by so many users. And you were able to do all of this in less than 3 months with a very small team. So it's a testament to your ingenuity, your innovation, and the things you're doing on the local platform. So I hope everybody got a good idea of the possibility of things you can do with Apex, and especially what Syneos is really pushing the barriers, especially using AI and machine learning to build really new innovative applications. Now, if you as a user are interested to learn more about Apex, we have a free learning course for you called Apex Foundation Course. You can actually sign up for that for free. Just go to this URL, and it takes about 3.5 hours. At the end of it, you can build applications using Apex. So you can build it on the desktop, you can build it on the cloud, you can build mobile applications. So you'll be able to build some basic level of Apex or low-code applications with this course. We have a more advanced learning course coming out at the end of the month called the Professional Developer Course. So if you want to build more sophisticated applications like the one that Syneos Health showed you today, then I think you would need to be certified with the Professional Learning course. That'll give you the skill set to get there overall. And this is the 3rd episode in our series of business innovation. So once again, I'd like to thank Sayee and Claudia for participating and taking the time to not only showcase what they've built, but also to take the time to answer all these detailed questions. We also have recordings of the previous episodes with prior customers, with MR Health Tech, with NRI, and different industries doing different innovative things. So all of these sessions are recorded, and you can watch them at any given time on demand. With that, I'd like to thank you so much for joining today, and I hope you have a great day and the rest of the week.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.